Hello from Canada and welcome to another review. So if you are looking for a small SUV that looks cool, it's affordable, it's got a lot of tech, it's practical, it's spacious, then you're looking at probably the right car, which is this brand new Buick Envista. So in today's video, we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this new Envista. So the new Buick Envista is offered in three different variants, which is the Preferred, the Sport Touring and the Avenir, and the one that I am reviewing is the Sport Touring. There are some changes between all the three models, and the first one is this grille out here. So you get a blacked out grille on this Sport Touring package. Otherwise on the other variants you get more like a mixture of chrome and the grey and silver grille on that side. There's also a Buick badging in here, and this meshed grille is quite big that way, stretches from one end to the other. There are also more chrome bits on either side. There are also these headlights, which is actually a split headlight cluster. So the top bit is the DRL and also the turn signals, they also convert into that, whereas the bottom bit here is your main headlight cluster and it's mounted at the bottom. So it's actually nice because if you're following someone, then your headlights are going to be a little on the lower side and not directly flashing into their eyes from the rear view mirror. And at the bottom you would find the silver color plastic trim and also a pretty neat looking design that way, and much more roundish in that sense. It looks more like a whale, I don't know, it looks a little bit inspired from that for sure. And underneath this you will find a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. The details I will discuss when we go for a drive, but also you get a heated package on this one, which is an optional extra, which is for your engine block. So in winters, if you want to cold start the car, then that will help you with starting up the engine. Now on the sides you get these 19-inch glossy aluminum wheels, which is an optional extra. If you don't want that, then you can not take this, but I think this looks pretty cool because this whole black and black combination really goes with the whole look of the car. There are also these arches, plastic ones, that are given, and at the bottom there's no skirting on anything, but the door extends till the bottom so that it covers your main chassis frame also, so that when you go bit of off-roading or anything, although this is a front wheel drive car, but if you do end up or if you go in the snow or in the mud, then your chassis would remain clean, and then when you come out from it, your pants are going to be cleaner too. Again, in the back, 19-inch aluminum wheels along with the Buick badging out here, and also the arches in here. And in the rear you get Watts Link rear suspension, which is an upgraded package again on this Envista Sport model. There are these tail lights that extend onto the side profile. There's also a small sort of lip spoiler, and the whole look of this is more like a coupe styled instead of an SUV, but it sits down low and it looks absolutely nice from the side view. And the doors are keyless entry doors, the front two ones. When you come to these side mirrors, these are non-power foldable side mirrors, but they have the LED turn signals in them. They are also power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning inside them, and they are also the heated side mirrors. Now in the rear you get these slimmer tail light cluster, which is a completely LED tail light cluster, the turn signals and everything, whereas the turning lights are given at the bottom. Then you have the Envista badging in here in chrome, the Buick badging in chrome along with the logo, and the ST badging, which is for the Sport Touring. So the ST badging also is given in the front on the grille on the left side. You have this really long sort of back end here which stretches really big, and as a result of that the rear visibility is slightly restricted. So you get the upper level visibility along with like 1 or 1.5 lanes of visibility. That's about it. There's also an LED brake light that has been given on top out here. As I said, there's also a lip spoiler, and then you get this silver color plastic trim out here. And if you're wondering where the exhaust tips are, there are no exhaust tips, and it's just the smooth curvy bumper that you are given, and that's actually good because there's no fake exhaust or anything that's going on out here. Instead, the exhaust tip is now mounted behind the back. Now when you come to the boot space, in order to open the boot door, there is a button given straight out here, and this has an optional electronic tailgate. Now when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 20.7 cubic feet of luggage in the back, which is pretty good for a small SUV, if I'm honest. So you can put easily like 2 medium sized bags or 1 big bag, and a medium and a small bag you can arrange in whatever sense you want, but you can do that. There's also a boot separator which is provided. You can remove this boot separator and it sits conveniently on the boot floor itself, and there's also a spare wheel that has been provided underneath the actual boot floor. There are more pocket spaces given on the left side. There's also a boot light which is provided. Now the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, but in order to do that you have to go from the front, like from the rear seat, and fold them down. So let me do for both of them, and also let me remove the boot separator and show you how you do that. It's just removing these two strings, give it a knock, and it sits down out here. So it doesn't like need extra bit of space, but it also fits in quite well. So you won't have to put this boot separator somewhere outside, where in some of the cars you don't even get the boot separator that fits inside. So that's one good thing. And when the rear seats are folded down, you can put 42 cubic foot of luggage in the back, which is immense for a small SUV. So you can easily now put like so many medium sized bags or big bags and small bags. You can just put them in here, and also there's not a step between the rear seats and the boot floor, so it's going to be easier to slide your luggage in and out. And then once you're done, you can press the button. As I said, this is an optional extra option, but quite a convenient feature, and it's a quiet thing on this Buick Envista. So the new Buick Envista promises to deliver you luxurious experience while also being affordable, and in some sense it does manage to do that, because the looks, well, they are clean and they look quite premium in that sense. Even the interior, it looks quite polished and well sorted out, and also easier to use for sure. So let me begin with the material quality. You get soft squidgy material out here on the dashboard with this texture, and more plastic bits around it with this blue color stitching, and also continues on to the driver's side, and even in the behind there's the same color soft squidgy bit. The door cards are made out of plastic, and then you also get this silver color trim with the texture on it, and near the gear lever also there is also glossy plastic around these cup holders. Normal plastic at the bottom of your eye view, so wherever your eye levels, everything is quite premium in that sense. There is also leather covered steering wheel, and then you have this huge console out here, sort of inspired from the Cadillac designs, and you have this endless screen. Oops, I just put on the wiper, flick the stick, and also you get an optional rain sensing wipers on this one while we are on the optional extras list. And as I said, you get this seamless screen out here, your driver's display and infotainment screen in the single sort of panel to give you that sort of flowy design in here. Again, leather covered handrest. The seats are all out of leatherette, and more plastic at the bottom. Even at the bottom of the door cards it's normal plastic, but as I said, at your eye level everything is more premium materials on this Envista. There is also chrome bits around these air conditioning vents. Even out here near the air conditioning controls, more chromey bits are given there. Now when you come to the driver's display, you get an 8-inch digital driver's display, and the options to use the driver's display are quite easy, and it's quite easier to figure out your way also to use this driver's display. And there is this roller dial which is given, so you press that and you can dig into more options into the driver's display, which is your gauge 1 design, your gauge 2 design, then your vehicle info, infotainment, or if you don't want to have any display going on, more information or anything, then you can leave that information and have a clean look in that case. And this is how you change the different views on your driver's display. And there is a lot of graphics that has been loaded on this thing, so which is why it kind of slows down a little bit in terms of its operation, but the overall view is quite clean and crisp. Even on the bright day like this, where the sun is directly hitting on these screens, it's still pretty easy to read all the information on this screen. It also shows you the pedestrian warning, your cruise control, your lane keep assist, and everything on the screen itself. And not just that, if you want to add more options, like you want to see specific information on your screen, then you can go from the infotainment screen and you have the maintenance, where you can put the tire pressure gauge into the show in cluster option, and then it will show you the tire pressure system in there. If you want to see the gauges, then the battery, coolant temperature, and then the trip information, your trip A, B, 1, 2, and your fuel economy, all of that you can see on your driver's display. So that's basically how you use the driver's display on this Envista. Now when you come to the steering wheel, you get a leather covered steering wheel, which is a flat bottom steering, so it's much more sportier because it's a sport touring trim. So yeah, in that sense it's quite sporty. There's also Buick badging in the middle, and on either side you would find buttons, and also there are buttons given in the back too. So on the right side you would find the buttons to control your driver's display. Then there is also buttons for your voice control, your phone, and your media. There are also buttons given in the back to, yes, you see the volume that you can change from behind the right side. And on the left side you would find the buttons for your cruise control and the heated steering wheel. There is a standard cruise control, there is also an adaptive cruise control, and you long press the cruise control button and you can switch from standard cruise control to adaptive and vice versa. And there are also buttons given in the back for the track changer. So yeah, the steering wheel has a lot of functions, so you have to memorize a little bit, but nonetheless, yeah, you can easily figure it out. And the steering wheel is manually adjustable, which is your tilt and telescopic. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, you get button operated as well as screen operated air conditioning system, but it's not like split between the two, but it's either or. So if you want to use it from the screen, you can do that, or if you want the button, more like what I like. So if you are button sort of person, then you can use the button. So straightforward on and off button is given. Then you have the left side dial for your temperature, right side dial for your fan speed, and in the middle to change the flow of air. So you get single zone air conditioning system on this Envista. Also there are buttons given at the bottom for heated seats. So both the seats in the front are the heated seats, and the buttons are given there. And in order to operate the climate control from the infotainment screen, there is a climate option on your home screen. You press that, and since it is off right now, you can switch it on, and then you have the same functions in here, your temperature on the left side, then your fan speed on the top, then your flow of air and auto and recirculation of air, or you can switch it off from the bottom option. So yeah, there is a split option, so you can decide which one you want to use. Now when you come to the infotainment screen, you get an 11-inch infotainment screen on this Envista, and it's actually quite a straightforward infotainment system. The functions on it are very simple. So there are options given on the left side for media, the phone, the traction control, and home button and everything. So the first button at the bottom is your home button, where you will see Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there is also wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. Then there is the climate setting, and there is also the detailed settings that you can change from here, the date and time, language, phone, vehicle, unit, sounds, updates, reset options, and everything. Then there is a Wi-Fi hotspot, so you can give your passengers in the car a Wi-Fi spot also, and that's your main screen. And you can even adjust the icons. So if you like to see the settings icon closer to you, then maybe you can adjust that too. Then on top you have the media options, where you can see all your FM, AM, all of those options in here. You also get the Sirius XM audio subscription option on this thing. So there is a trial package that you can have with this, the subscription for the Sirius XM that you can activate when you buy this Envista, and you get 6-speaker music system on this model. Then the next option is your phone. So when your phone is connected, it will connect to Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and show you all the information, your phone, SMS, all of that. Then your traction control system, you can completely switch it off, or you can leave the traction control and sort of have different things that you can switch it on and off, your electronic stability and all of that. Then you have the maintenance and the gauges and the trip that you can put on your driver's display, or you can see on your screen, and your home option. And on the top right corner there is a date option. You press that and you can go into the dates. Again, it's also loaded a bit with graphics, and which is why it can slow down a little bit in terms of its operation, but nonetheless it's quite simple, as I said, and very easy to figure out, and you can just sit in and just spend a few minutes and you are ready to use this infotainment screen. Now when you come to the charging, you get two USB ports, one type C and one normal, and one 12 volts power socket given underneath the air conditioning controls. There's also an optional wireless charger which is given on this Envista, and for the rear passengers you get two USB ports, one type C and one normal for the back. Now on this Envista you have this gear shifter, and the thing is that it's got a bit of a long throw to it, so yeah, there's a long arc to it when you operate, but it's quite ergonomically well placed, that is what I would say, so it's easier to operate. And there is also this L mode on this gear shifter, so that's basically when you go into that L mode you can select the gears that this car would shift to. So let's say you want maximum traction from a soft surface you are going on to, so you want just the car to shift to first or second gear only, you can do that, and yeah, basically customize this gearbox also. Now when you come to the storage, you have ample of storage on this new Envista. So in the door cards you can easily put 1.5 liter water bottle and some more storage on the sides. You have two standard cup holders which are pretty deep in that sense. You can also use this Wi-Fi charger to put your wallets and phones. There's also another slot given in the back out here behind the cup holders where you can put your keys and wallets. There's also this hand rest which is deep enough to house like 4 half a liter worth of bottles. You can easily put that, and quite solid, like you hear that, yeah, it's pretty solid too. And there's also this glove box which is decently big. Even on the passenger side you can put like 1.5 liter water bottle and same storage, additional storage on the sides. And for the rear passengers in the door cards you have about 1.5 liter worth of bottle that you can put, but there are no cup holders that are given for the rear passengers. Now on this Envista you have a sunroof which is given, which is a standard sunroof, so it's kind of all right in terms of the size of it, but it lets in a little bit of extra light and makes the car feel a lot more airy in that sense. And there is also the SOS feature that is given on this Envista, and the OnStar feature which is the, again, a safety feature, entertainment, your help. If you are stuck anywhere with this car you can call the OnStar feature and someone from GM would get in touch with you, or if you want to have any suggestions about where to go, what is the entertainment around you, you can just press the OnStar feature and someone would help you out with that. So that is also provided on this. Now when you come to these seats, you get leather seats in this Envista, the leatherette seats actually, and it's got blue color stitching around in the backrest and also blue color piping on either sides on both the seats. There's also this ST badging which is for the Sport Touring badging that is given on both these headrest. And in terms of the comfort, these seats are actually quite good for longer runs, and especially the whole dynamics of this car, I really want to discuss that, because the car drives very well and it soaks up bumps so well, and as a result of that, complementing that with these seats is just a very good package for everyday driving. Even the seats actually soak up the vibrations and from the engine, even though this is a 3-cylinder engine, but it soaks up the vibrations and all of that from that pretty well. So the seats that way is, yes, are pretty comfortable for longer runs. There is ample of support underneath the thighs, and these seats are also quite broad in that sense. There's also decent amount of back support, and at the bottom there is, yeah, again, decent amount of side support too. And in terms of the adjustability, so the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable, and it's also the heated seat, and it's also 2-way electronically lumbar adjustable, whereas the passenger side seat is just manually adjustable 4-way, but it's also a heated seat. Now there are additional buttons given ahead of the gear lever, which is for the engine start stop and also the lane keep assist button, but yes, those buttons are given in the front, so you can easily, switch on the lane keep assist or the engine start stop. So everything is button operated, which makes this car so easy to use, in terms of the everyday usability. Now even though this is a small SUV, but in terms of the space on the inside, this car does very well. So the driver's side seat is in my driving position, and I am kind of 5'11". So yeah, it's decently behind in that case, but look at the knee room that you get out here, almost like, yeah, 1 full palm or like 3/4 of a palm worth of space in here. And the headroom is decent, I would say, but someone above 6 feet may start brushing their heads against the ceiling, and that is to do because this is more like a coupe style design. So the roof in the back is kind of curving and kind of narrows down in the back, but nonetheless it's pretty impressive in terms of the space that you get. It doesn't make you feel like you're sitting in a small car that way. It actually gives you a sort of mid-size kind of feeling on the inside for sure. So very well arrangement in that sense on the inside of this Envista, and you can even slide your legs under the seats during the longer journey. So if you want to stretch a little bit, you can do that too. Now in terms of the seats in the back, you get the same leatherette seats with the blue color stitching, but there's no blue piping or anything. There's also no ST badging on the headrest in the back, and you get two headrests, but this is still a 3-seater in the back, so the third passengers can sit in the middle too. But in terms of the comfort, yes, you get the same sort of comfort, but what I realize is the angle at the bottom of the seat is slightly on the lower side, so which is why there's a bit of a gap between my thighs and the seats. That's the only thing. But when I stretch my legs, then I get a proper overall support underneath my thigh also. But nonetheless the seats are pretty comfortable, and you don't get a handrest in here, so this is the fixed sort of arrangement. But these seats are obviously foldable in a ratio of 60:40. There's also no tunnel, literally no tunnels, because this is a front wheel drive, so the whole floor is flat. So if you are the middle passengers and if you sit in the middle, again it's pretty soft. Usually the middle seats are kind of hard that way, and even the backrest is also pretty soft. I'm surprised by that. So you can easily sit in here if you're a middle passengers, and the headroom is exactly the same that you get on either side. So for some reason that's still plenty of space for the middle passenger also. And there is also a seat belt which confirms that yes, the seat can be used just without the headrest. That's about it. But you can adjust the headrest also in terms of its alignment, so you can take it up and down, or you can adjust the inclination of the headrest too. There's also the lights that is given in the middle. And in terms of the door card qualities, you get plastic door cards in the back, everywhere nearly plastic. Where you're going to be resting hands, that's just soft material with a blue color stitching. Even in the front it was the same, where you're going to be resting hands, that's soft material. So in terms of the storage, as I said, you can put 1.5 liter worth of storage, and there is also a pocket storage on the passenger side, which is all right. You can put about like your books and stuff in there. And there's also a slot given in the middle out here where there are two USB ports which are given, so when you're charging your phone, and they are quite deep that way, so you can put your phones and then they won't fall out while you are traveling. So again, that's one more thing. But overall the airiness in the back is actually quite good, and it doesn't make you feel like, as I said, you're sitting in a small SUV, but rather a decently sized SUV in that case. And you have these pretty big long windows that you get, and let me see if they go down completely. And yes, they go down completely. So that's another thing that you get on this new Envista. So this new Buick Envista Sport Touring comes with a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine that produces 137 horsepower and 220 Newton meters of torque, or 162 pound-foot of torque. And this engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, whereas the power is sent to the front wheel, so you have a front wheel drive system. Now all the models pretty much come with the exact same setup, so there is no difference in terms of the power, the transmission in that sense. Now in terms of the power delivery, the engine is actually quite good. It's so smooth in terms of the delivery. The turbo tends to build up the torque, and it delivers around 1700 to 2000 rpm, but it does, and it's just a very smooth and crisp sort of power band that you have on this thing. The power delivery and also the acceleration can be a bit abrupt sometimes, especially when you are just starting off. And even the gear shifting is very good on this, even though this is a 6-speed automatic, but you never feel that you need more gears or something on this Envista. So in that case, this is actually a very good power house on this new Envista, and you don't long for more power after that, because anyways you're going to be using it in the city setup most of the time. So for that, this is very good. Now in terms of the suspensions are on the balanced side. I would say it's pretty soft and it's not too hard, and they actually soak up the bumps very well, if I'm honest, because on the inside, if you see, like, nothing is rattling or I'm not like bouncing around, and the road surface is not very even. There are lots of bumps in here, but the suspension does its job very well and soaks up the bumps pretty good, I would say. And the damping especially is very good, and because the rear suspensions are upgraded, it sort of gives you a balanced ride too that ways. Now when you come to the steering wheel, this is an electronic steering on this Envista, and in terms of the feedback from it, there's decent, although I would have liked a little bit of more feedback from the steering, but the turning radius is decent, and also the lightness of the steering, especially in the city use, is actually bang on, because you want that and you're going to be maneuvering a lot inside the city. Then this is pretty good, especially in a parking lot. Yeah, this thing will do very well. So in terms of that, there is good amount of feedback from the steering, and the setup itself, the steering feel itself is pretty tight, so you get that confidence inducing ride from the system. Now when you come to the brakes, you have 4-disc brakes on this new Envista, and in terms of the performance, yeah, they are pretty spot on, and the brake pedal is quite hard enough in that sense to give you the gauge of how the brakes are functioning, so you can adjust. And it's also got good amount of travel also. It's pretty progressive in that sense. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, even that is well kept in check, even though this is a turbocharged engine, but it never really shouts inside the cabin. And also the build quality so far looks pretty decent, and the car has done about 8,900 kilometers, and yeah, it's doing quite all right in that sense. And in terms of the vibrations, yes, there are not many, if you ask me, because if you hear also, there is nothing going on, like it's a fairly quiet. And also this car has an active noise cancellation system, which is what makes it even more quieter in here. And when you come to the safety systems, so you get 6 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are 2 curtain airbags given in both the frames. There's also a single camera HD camera reversing system, and the output from that is decent. It can become a little more crisp is what I would suggest, and maybe the next iteration they can do that, or maybe a software tweak can do that too. So yeah, that can improve slightly. Child ISOFIX points in both the rear seat. Apart from the other safety systems, there's also lane keep assist, lane departure warning. There is also blind spot warning system. There is the front collision warning. There's front passenger emergency braking. There's tire pressure monitoring system. There is ABS. There is the EBD. There is everything that is given on this thing. So in terms of the safety systems, this is also pretty loaded as far as I can tell you. So the safety systems is also like pretty much given, and it's not like there is a cutback in terms of the safety systems when you compare it with the pricing. In terms of the efficiency from this whole setup, you will get on an average anywhere between 12.5 to 13 kilometers per liter, which is again very good. And here we are approaching the traffic, which is going to be taking my time now, about 20 minutes. So yeah, especially in a traffic situation, this thing still delivers between 11.5 to 12 kilometers, which is not too bad for a car which is decently big and it's got a small engine. But yes, it still does seem to have a decent fuel economy. Now when you come to the pricing, as I was mentioning, so the preferred variant comes in at $26,999, whereas the Sport Touring, which is this variant, comes in at $28,099, and the top of the line Avenir comes in at $31,999. Although this thing comes with optional extras, so it nearly comes to $32,000. I'm going to put the exact extra list on your screen also right now, so you can have a look. So that thing will cost you around 32,000, but otherwise it's going to cost you around 28,999,000. Of course, this is without any taxes and everything. After that, there is a separate, but nonetheless, this is still a very good price for a car that's pretty comfortable, spacious, it's pretty practical, and it's decent looking, and it's got so much of safety systems, so much of tech, so everything is in here. So currently it's also showing me the collision and everything, the car in front of me, all of that. So it's a pretty advanced car, and to be honest, for this price point, this is a very good deal which you should definitely check out if you are looking for a small SUV, because it will eat up substantial amount of luggage, plus also house a lot of passengers inside in comfort and with all this convenience. So that is pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care, and drive safe.